You are listening to the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast following a wild, wacky, and crazy 8-5 loss for the Ottawa Senators in Arizona to the lowly Coyotes. I'm Ross Levitan. With me as always, Brandon Pillar and recurring guest on the Postcast at Lalim's Martian. And we got to be quick because we're going in to on-the-clock hours for the Martian, who has a Tyler Boucher game to clip in moments. But we got enough to get to from today's game. As we always start out, though, Pilsy, your overwhelming impression. Good luck, buddy.
This was an absolute barn burner of a game. I mean, there's so many different angles to take here. Like, we could talk about some positives from this game for 10 minutes and then some absolutely brutal negatives for 10 minutes. And how the Arizona Coyotes end up putting up 8 goals. Nick Schmaltz looking like Wayne Gretzky out there with 7 friggin' points is absolutely insane. Like, this game was back and forth like crazy. We all lost a bunch of money on this game because we thought things were going to go differently. And Martian, I'll pass this one off to you now.
Yeah, it's just an absolute roller coaster of emotions there today. I don't know. I couldn't handle it, so I had to use other coping mechanisms to get through the whole thing. But
what are your other coping mechanisms? Let's hear it.
Well, you're looking at it.
There we go.
Tasty little drink. So that'll help you get through a game like that, eh, Pilsy? And you know me, I couldn't resist. I saw the Sens down 4-0, and I saw those odds, and I was watching. I was thinking, you know what? I could see a little Sens comeback action coming here. So what did I do? I took $10 and I put it on the Sens, and sure enough, they ended up making the comeback. But after that, everything went kind of downhill. I was excited for a moment, but here we are.
Here we are, and where we are is 0 points so far, 3 games into a 5-game road trip. But the way this one started, my God. 4-0, and I mean it's maybe not as quick as that. Nick Schmaltz opens the scoring on a power play goal. No chance on that one, right? It's just kind of a point shot right off the initial faceoff. It gets blocked. Everyone's kind of scrambling, waiting for it to find a seam. The next thing you know, it comes right down on the other way. So I'm not blaming Murray on that one, and honestly, I'm having trouble blaming Murray on many of these goals. Maybe that's the goalie friendly aspect, but you look at a guy typically who has a 742 save percentage in a game, and it's easy to get all over him. But despite allowing 8 goals,
the Spencer Knight special.
You can't look at a goalie and say he had a good game after allowing
goalie friendly show, Martian.
I know. There, you know what? You're right, Ross. There was maybe like 1 or 2 that like were wrist shots from far out that he probably could have stopped, I think. And the one behind the net that he lost control of, and that led straight to a stellar goal.
And that turns into the game winner.
Yep. Yeah, and that was definitely a momentum swinger because it just took the air right out of the Sens.
So many momentum goals in this game. It was insane.
Too many to keep track of. I can't even. You were talking about the first goal. I don't even remember it. It feels so long ago.
Yeah, like that. Matthias Michelli had his first NHL goal. It may as well have been 3 weeks ago. Man, the Sens haven't given up a first NHL goal. I thought it was going to be Dyson Mayo's first NHL goal. Never heard of that guy before. I was putting that on my hot dog yesterday. But next thing you know, he's +6 tonight. So is Shane Goss's pair. +6 in a game against the Ottawa Senators. But yeah, that one Murray mistake, I said I'm having a tough time blaming him on all the goals, but the one that you do, you honestly, like, the Sens fans have seen Craig Anderson play the puck for a decade, and that might have been the worst attempt I've ever seen at handling it. And then as the play develops too, and sure, say what you want, that this was the next goal actually, where Zaitsev's just the side angle, Zaitsev's just behind the net, and everything else is out in front. The Yotes had a few easy ones right down Main Street tonight too. So there were a lot of tweets coming out at 4-0 saying I'm turning this one off. And then next thing you know, the Sens score 3 goals in 2.5 minutes. And here we go. We're in the game. So, I mean, we could break this one down into segments. We can get kind of an overwhelming impression, which you guys mentioned. Roller coaster probably sums it up the best. But how are you feeling, Martian, at 4-0? That's a great place to start because, as I mentioned, from people overseas, Sens fans in UK, Halifax, we had our boy Drew say he was turning this one off. Well, good thing you didn't, because the Sens, win, lose, or draw, are always must-watch TV.
Yeah, Sens Twitter was absolutely imploding on itself at 4-0, and I was right there with everybody. It was really hard not to get overly negative at that point in the game. But I mean, it is what it is, I guess. You kind of got to hang in there with these Sens. You never really know what they're going to end up doing for you, so you gotta hang on and watch for dear life. And they at least made it. They brought it back to being entertaining. But down at 4-0 was a low period.
I didn't think the game was over though, because sure, I mean, you're looking at 4-0 here, but a lot of those goals were results of just quick, ugly, sloppy defensive plays. And the Sens were out shooting them at the time. Connor Brown had his 7 shorthanded breakaway attempts already. And it seemed like the Sens still were, sounds crazy to say, but we're still in control of that game at 4-0. They just needed something to burst the dam. And Parker Kelly gets that fluke goal. And then it's like, all right, well, 3 goals here, and we've got a lot more shots. We're dominating play. We're possessing the puck. If we can just do tape-to-tape passes here, not be passing it at each other's feet and fumbling around with the puck in our skates here, we can get back in this game. And it's not like Scott Wedgwood is a Vezina caliber goalie. So they had the momentum and they had the chances, and they end up bringing it back all the way to 4-4 and even 5-4 at one point. Like it was wild.
I'm glad you brought up the 5-4 goal, because let's touch more on the game that was for Nick Paul, because he scores.
Oh my God.
He looks great on that goal, batting it out of midair. And that was all hands team all around, because the play that knocked it down in the first place was elite. And then the puck comes up, bang, it's in the back of the net. But he ultimately cost this team 2 goals against, as he was in the box for what became the 7-5 goal, when you're hoping and praying like, okay, it's a 1-goal game, 1 shot. We saw that 5 shots out of 8 went in at one point on Scott Wedgwood. We just need to get some more traffic in front of the net. And instead, he takes that friggin' flip the puck over the glass penalty. And next thing you know, it's just bingo, bango, bongo. It's in the back of your net. But what was worse, that penalty at that time in the game, or the giveaway where he put the puck right on the heel of Colin White's skate, not stick, and that turned into to an easy goal for Clayton Keller?
I'm going to go with, I mean, considering the time of the game, it's got to be the flip over the glass. That's the most preventable kind of play you could have, at least with the breakout pass to White, which was also terrible. Yeah, absolutely. Like, he deserves full blame for that. You do want to kind of maybe have a defenseman on the right side be a little bit more of a safety net for a play like that potentially happening. And all the Sens were already committed to rushing up the ice.
Chabot was ahead of White at that point. Like, that's a little too aggressive there.
Well, you know what that is he just trusts Nick Paul not to totally screw that up, right? Like, you're looking at a player like Nick Paul doesn't do that kind of thing all the time. And when he does, it sticks out like a sore fucking thumb.
And not only that, but Zaitsev might have thought he was going around a speed skating track with the way he was going slow on his turn there. He almost got out to the top of the hash marks before the top of the circle before he managed to turn around to actually go and try to get the puck away. So that was a comedy of errors for sure, with Zaitsev and Chabot bailing the zone ahead of the breakout pass, and almost like a soccer style offside where it was you want to keep I should say rugby, where you only pass the puck backwards. Everyone was going across the line of scrimmage, for lack of a better word. And next thing you know, that means no man back on the turnover. And young Zachary pointing out, missing Drake Batherson, no question. I think Zach, if I'm not mistaken, is heading to the game in Vegas tomorrow. And of course, that would have been where Drake Batherson spent the All-Star game as well. So no All-Star game, no Vegas game for Drake, but hopefully he's back sooner rather than later. He must have been going through the roller coaster of emotions with all the fans watching this game on a Saturday afternoon. But let's make this a little positivity sandwich here, because there was some good. Not only Parker Kelly having 2 goals in this game, and say what you want about Wedgwood, maybe should have having the first one, but outside of that, you get Josh Norris, first power play goal since his return, first goal.
You'll love to see that he can still do that. Oh,
exactly, from his office, Martian?
Yeah, that's exactly where you expect him to score from. So yeah, you said it, Pilsy. Like, really great to see him get back on it, especially after missing the very similar chance to that in Florida last game. So definitely good for Josh Norris to get back on it for sure.
Other goal scorers for the Senators were Alex Formanton, and we already mentioned Nick Paul. Probably the nicest goal of the game for my money was, maybe you could say the Josh Norris one, but that 2-on-1 with Stützle and Formanton. Stützle's patience, being able to slide it right through the seam and put it on the tape. From the initial angle, it looked like Stützle's shot just went in, but on the replay, you could see that he put it across right onto the stick. So hopefully that gets Formanton going, because he was flying shorthanded. And yes, we have to touch again on Connor Brown's shorthanded chances, where he had a ton of them, but you can tell on that one where he tried to bring it backhand and put it in, like, he is just overthinking this.
He's trying to do something different every time now at this point, because he knows, like, he's a smart guy. He's a smart player. He knows when he knows he can't be getting all these chances and missing every single one of them. He wants to get one goal. So he was reaching into his bag of tricks for something new there, but
you gotta just grip it and rip it if you're Connor Brown and you get to the hash marks. You got a good wrist shot. That's what he was
doing last year. He was just ripping it last year. Just shoot. Don't think.
Second half, first half, we were seeing what we're seeing now, where he's getting the chances, and he's such a smart player. The ability to read the play. He had one opportunity that was created because he just snuck up behind a guy, lifted his stick, and turned the puck over. So he's making plays, and you can't fault him for that. But that's what separates, I think, the level of player you get in Connor Brown versus what fans are hoping for when they say a top 6 right winger. They're like, yeah, Connor Brown, he's smart enough and he can create plays like a top 6 winger, but the finishing ability is just so important to everyday play in the NHL. And we're seeing that play out right now when it comes to Connor Brown, who is still a very valuable player. So don't get me wrong once again. And you could just put this on replay, because every single game he leads all Sens forwards in ice time, playing 21-26 in this afternoon's game. He had 6 shots on goal and that 1 assist. Now, outside, and maybe that's a great way to transition into the Sens Central standouts in this one, but we will get back, because we got to get into the deterioration of this game into a debacle. It's not often teams allow 4 consecutive goals 2 separate times in a game, and that's what happened. Yeah, you can say they scored 5 in a row, but just the waves in this game were so pronounced, so we got to get into that more. But I'll let Pilsy, as he had a long travel day, let's get you going on the Sens Central standouts.
All right, well, if you're just looking at this box score right away, Ross, 46 shots for the Sens, outshooting them 46-31, and then the face-offs, 69%, nice, to 31%. Like, that's a game up against the worst team in the league. Those 2 stats alone should give you such an advantage, and that just didn't happen. So you guys know I'm all about the face-offs lately, so that's where I'm going to go for my Sens Central standout. How about Dylan Gambrell, a perfect 8 for 8 in the face-off dot? And sure, he only played 8.5 minutes, but in a game where you get scored on 8 times, being a +2, also not too bad. So definitely from the face-off standpoint, that's a nice game from Gambrell. And it's nice to see, too, Josh Norris getting back in there. 100%, obviously great, but 11 for 12, good for 92% for Josh Norris. So you're pretty confident thinking that shoulder's looking all right now.
So just face-offs are your standout today.
Basically, I mean, we're looking
I like that. That's
at 100% and 92%. Like, that's that's nothing to shake your head at, and that's with 20 attempts total there. So that's pretty solid for the Sens.
Yeah, only Brady Tkachuk was under 50%. Oh, sorry, and Connor Brown, but he only took 3. So let's say minimum 5 face-offs.
2 non-centermen as well. So like you can't even really count them.
Exactly. So the guys who have taken 10 or more in this game, 11 for 12, Josh Norris, 6 for 11, still above 50% for Tim Stützle, 8 for 12 for 67% for Nick Paul. And then, of course, Dylan Gambrell goes a perfect 8 for 8, just under the threshold that I said. And it's great to see Colin White, too, that there's no ill effects of that shoulder injury. I was half expecting him to come in and snap back 20-30%, but he's in there at 56%, winning 5 out of 9. Martian, what do you got?
I've got Thomas Chabot, and that might be the low-hanging fruit here, but I think he was really the, if you will, the little propeller that was keeping this boat running on this game here. So he really got that comeback started, and he had 3 assists in the second period.
Career high 3 assists for Thomas Chabot. Of course, he had 3 points against Minnesota and maybe another game in his past, but never a 3-assist game for Thomas Chabot. So I like that one from you, Martian. In 27 minutes, that's a situation where you're just trying to get back in the game down 4-0.
Yeah, he was playing a lot. So especially in the second half of the game there, once they probably realized, I think, take some of those more defensive style guys and give them a little less ice time and get Shabbat out there as much as you can, because he's the one who's really going to be the straw that stirs the drink there.
And DJ did that with the forward lines too. Like he was like, when they went down 4-0, it was like, okay, all offense. Like Gaudette, Formanton, Stutzla, and then Kachuk, Brown, and Norris. Like he's like, okay, enough of trying to spread things out. We got to push here. And I mean, it kind of worked, almost worked.
Yep. I like that. I'm going to go with the shift disturber, Parker Kelly. I mean, nice. 2 goals after a prominent member of Sens Media asked why he has a one-way contract coming up. So when that happens, then I know we're not picking on JR. He's a beauty with 1,200. But at the same time, like, they're losing 5-2 to Tampa. They gave out 5 unanswered goals. So at one point, geez, I forgot they were up 2-0 on Tampa. So 5 unanswered against Tampa, 3 against Florida, and then the first 4 goals in this game. They'd given up 12 straight goals before they stopped the bleeding.
Wow, but then they put up 5 straight, Ross. So you
too little, too late, though. Oh
talk about a streaky team.
Yeah, they are, and they've completely shown that in the last couple. But wow, that's something there. Only 3 hits for Parker Kelly today, or sorry, 3 shots, only 1 hit for Parker Kelly, and
focused
that's
on
surprising.
Goal scoring.
Yeah, he's too busy scoring goals.
Yeah.
I mean, the second one was nice. I don't think you take that away from him. So say what you want about maybe Wedgwood putting the blinders on for that first shot. I liked what I saw from Parker Kelly, and it earned him a little more ice time too than we've seen. He played over 12 minutes tonight. Yeah,
you know what? With Parker Kelly too, like he doesn't get enough credit for sparking the guys. I feel like too, he's a bit of a spark plug out there. He's a great 4th line energy player, and that's basically all you need to expect from him for him to have like a good impact on a game. 2 goals though is complete gravy for him. So I'm completely fine with him being on a one-way contract next year. He's still young as well, and he's going to bring that energy every night because of the way he plays. He's tenacious as hell out there. So I have no problem with Parker Kelly on the 4th line anytime.
What a weird game for Scott Wedgwood. 41 saves, but gives up those 5 goals on 8 shots. Like, how much credit, and weird to say credit because, again, there was that one piece of the game where it just everything was going past him. But for me, I'm giving him quite a bit of credit for this win because the Sens had a 15-shot advantage in this game. And say what you want about the defense, and we'll get to that. But I actually think that if that's like a goalie playing as average, the Sens probably score 9, even though they gave up 8. Like, they had their chances in this one.
They had lots of chances on him in this one for sure, especially early on, right? That's the time where he was like probably, standing on his head the most, I think. But he did have that period where he allowed 5 and 7 shots. So
fair. How do you answer this question? Pilsy will go to you. Nerd Alert writes in, if Forsberg is in net, do the Senators win that game?
I mean, it's tough to say because like we talked about, like, yeah, I have to preface this statement with Matt Murray gave up 8 goals in 1 game. So no, that's not good. And this loss definitely falls on him. But a lot of those goals were a result of poor, sloppy defensive play. Now, definitely a couple were 100% on Murray. Like that one, he's got to catch that Phil Kessel shot. Like that's right at the glove. Sure, Phil Kessel, one of the greatest snipers of all times. Like
I knew you were going to say that. He's not.
He's got a hell of a wrist shot.
Of this generation,
you said all the time.
Okay, I'll tone it down a little, but he's a great sniper. There's no denying that. But that's right at the glove. You got to catch that. And then he just kind of lets the rebound sit there. Like, you got to get out of your net, try to poke it or something. He just waits there. So I didn't love that one. And then obviously the one behind the net. But I think Forsberg probably gives you a better chance to win than Matt Murray did there. Because Forsberg doesn't really have a lot of those like doy plays where it's like, what is going on there? So you got a better chance to win, that's for sure. But Forsberg deserves a night off after that pummeling in Florida and how well he played.
Pilsy, who's a better shooter in their career? Kessel or Hoffman? I'm curious. I don't know which way you're going to go.
That's tough. I'm probably going Kessel.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because Kessel is the kind of guy where Hoffman needs to be set up. Kessel can literally just skate down the wing and beat a goalie clean so often.
Yeah, fair. Martian, you got something?
No, I forgot what I was going to say.
All good. Let's go to DJ Smith to start. DJ Smith to start. Oh, first, Philip Daoust, by the way. I think he likes being back in junior versus being in the AHL. He's already got 2 tucks today, and he is, he's back in a big way. It'll be fun following him through the Memorial Cup. Sorry, I just saw a little clip there. And hey, we haven't had a recording. We're going to get back a little bit more into the game, but this wouldn't be a Locked On Senators show if we didn't shout out Tyler Clevin for the first time we're recording since he wins the Penrose Cup, the NCHC championship for the regular season for North Dakota. And Pilsy, that shot in the arena and not having Alex Heinert on the broadcast, I think that took a lot out of it because that was a beauty wrist shot. Didn't touch anything from the side, but from the angle way up there, it just didn't look like much. But if we had that alternate angle, I think that would have gotten a little more play because the K-Train, we know he can rip it, and he absolutely did.
No, I agree. And that just shows you the confidence of Tyler Clevin, right? Like I think maybe last year he tries to pass that off or tries to find someone else to take that shot. But this year he's like, hell no, I've been standing up when Sanderson's gone. This is OT, big moment. I've got time and space here. I can do this. And yeah, one hell of a shot.
Isn't it amazing that they're 8 games in a row they've won without Jake Sanderson in the lineup? They're 9-1 without Jake Sanderson this year. I was at the one loss that they didn't have Sanderson, but I got to see a win as well at Nodak there. But hey, is it stolen valor? And I just put it in the comments here. Is it stolen valor if we use the Tyler Ennis, if we give that to Clevin sometimes? Because I want to.
I mean, it sounds great, so I don't know, but
maybe until Ennis moves on, we save it. But then later on, I need to be able to go, Tyler. It just rolls off the tongue so well. So
you're going to have that with Boucher, too. Couple Tylers.
Tyler Boucher. Yeah, that'll do. Hey, any action? Yeah, Boucher's got to be a shift or 2 in now, Martian.
I don't know. I'm waiting. I'm postcasting right now. I'm not one of those people who's very good at multitasking. I'm very tunnel vision. Like I
single variable, as elite prospects called Tyler Clevin.
Yeah, exactly.
I went back and
watch at the same time. I can't read and listen at the same time. So I'm focusing solely on the postcast for now. But as soon as it's over, you know where to go to find your Tyler.
Ross only works in multitasking mode.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Anyways, Tyler Clevin, they play tonight, but don't think anything much of it because they are playing their final regular season game. We got to shout out 2 assists, too, for Johnny Tyconic in the loss. Kind of a weird clip they posted where he's walking around the inside of the arena with a guy from the Omaha Mavericks, and then he's just like, yeah, I'm still a Flames fan for sure. Like, the Sens will understand. Like, I love the Flames forever. So, if that? Yeah. Oh, you got to see this clip. It's very weird. The guy even replied. He's like, but weren't you drafted by the Sens? Has your allegiance changed? He's like, no, man, I'm a Flames fan. It was kind of weird.
I guess until he's a Senator, it doesn't really matter. But
he doesn't think he's going to be playing in a Sens uniform. I don't think.
I think a hot mic moment or something.
No, dude, this was a weird.
And he doubled down on it, like Ross is saying. So it's not a hot mic.
I'll send it to you after. I'll post.
He knew his audio. Like that's so weird. That's a weird thing to say. Let's just trade him to Calgary. I'm off. I'm out on him now.
Very outgoing of him, to just say what's on his mind. An outgoing defenseman. All right, we got a game to cover here. The Ottawa Senators lose 8-5 to the Arizona Coyotes. We're used to other teams losing by ridiculous scores in ridiculous games, but right now it was the Ottawa Senators losing 8-5, and the goals, you think with 13 goals, you get a little more back and forth. It was back and then forth as the Ottawa Senators give up 4 straight, score 5 straight, and then give up 4 more straight, and they lose 8-5. Now, Pilsy, we covered the good. Now we got to get into the bad. The defensive zone coverage for this team, from Brown to Brandstrom to Zaitsev to pretty much everybody else, because even Holden and Zuber on for a couple. I think Shabby had a great game, and I'm glad that Martian shouted him out as his standout. But outside of number 72, this entire decor was brutal today.
Yeah, and I mean, anytime you can allow these kinds of stats from the Arizona Coyotes is ridiculous. Like, Schmaltz tied a franchise record in this game. Shane Gostisbehere, a guy that basically Philly had to pay to get rid of, looking like an absolute stud tonight. Clayton Keller, I'm still on that train. I would love for the Sens to acquire Clayton Keller.
It would be so ridiculous for them to trade him.
It would be,
cost them an arm and a leg to get them.
Ross, everything about the Arizona Coyotes is ridiculous. They're planning on playing in a college arena next year.
We're gonna go. We're going to that arena.
We're going
100%.
to ASU for sure. Yeah, nothing about the Arizona Coyotes can surprise me anymore, except them scoring 8 goals on the Ottawa Senators.
Pilsy, you know what?
Do you know what the tickets are going to go for in that little arena, though?
It's going to be insane, but it'll be worth it. Yeah.
Spin Zone, Glendale. I just looked it up. The in-laws have a place there. The Glendale Arena, 45-minute drive. Tempe, 10-minute drive. So that's a win in my books, buddy.
Yeah.
That's like the equivalent of being at Parliament and going to the Civic Center versus going to the Canadian Tire Center for a little Ottawa flip.
But we got to do Sun Devils and Coyotes because I want to see a Sun Devils game too.
100%, man. And then if you get it even further in, if you somehow manage to get the waist open, which always looks like an absolute blast.
Now you have my attention.
Yes, 100%. Little swing the wrenches.
I think that's the only golf tournament that I care about, like because that one is actually electric. It's not a snooze fest.
Yeah, it's Stadium Series. Okay, we did interact with Biz today. That was hilarious too. What a guy! What an absolute beauty. I should have sent him a link and be like, "Hey, you stood up and took the heat when you didn't have to.
Now we'll let you
want to give it back to us, but hey, Zachary, don't even get me started on Joey Decor. It should still be in the Sens organization. But what was it with this decor tonight? Like, oh, man, I don't even know where to start. Like, there were giveaways, sure, but the defensive positioning, the battling out, the boxing out, and then, I mean, say what you want about Zaitsev being pushed in, but he cross-checked Murray in the face. Like, at least try to, like, tuck your arm in or something. I'm surprised Murray's not out 4 to 6 weeks, though.
To me, it all kind of circles back. It still comes back to just like the discipline in the first period and getting everything kind of gets screwed up once they're taking penalties that early in the game. 10 minutes in, they had already taken 2 minors and spent 4 minutes on the PK. And then when that happens, the D start getting tired and then they start making mental mistakes. I think that might be all it is. It's like you can't really get into a rhythm of a game if you're spending half of it in a box. So I don't know. I'm now becoming very frustrated with the discipline of the team early on, especially. So I think that's kind of like the root cause, if you will, of what's going on there with the decor. Because everybody looked like they're all killing penalties basically on that decor, and they're just not looking right.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why Chabot gets another pass on this because he's not a part of that penalty killing unit and he's not a part of that problem, which, I mean, the PK had been good before, but when you're spending half your games on the PK, like, what are you going to do? And Forsberg bailed them out, but he didn't get that same effort tonight from Murray.
Yeah, I'm not really saying that the PK has been bad or the guys on the PK have been bad. I think that it's because that they have to kill penalties and then once they tired even strength. Then they go back out on 5-on-5 and they feel maybe they're a little tired. I don't know. They're professional athletes though. They probably shouldn't have excuses like that.
Pilsy, what else jumps out at you on the box score tonight?
Let's see. I mean, I feel like we've rattled off every possible stat here. I mean, yeah, the Schmaltz one is the big one though. Like to have a guy like that get 7 points, and that's no disrespect to Nick Schmaltz, but that's not the kind of like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl were doing that to the Sens, and that's fair. But to have Nick Schmaltz and the Arizona Coyotes be able to just manhandle you like that and to pad their stats like that, that's huge for Nick Schmaltz. 7 points, like. Yeah, but
the big any player. That's
the thing. Yeah, for a guy that doesn't exactly light it up all the time, that's pretty huge. But I think the glaring thing for me, and as the face-off expert, or at least a guy that's been tracking them closely here, for the Sens to dominate in face-offs like that, we always talk about it. Like, if you can dominate in the face-off dot, then the other team is chasing you. And that should have been an easy, massive advantage for the Sens, starting with the puck in the O-zone off every draw, but they're not able to cash in on it.
Pilsy, I got a stat for you. Marsh, you know what? You can listen to it as well. So 36 skaters have played for the Ottawa Senators this year. 36 skaters. That's actually including goalies. So let's take off the goalies. 33 players for the Ottawa Senators.
How many of them have less than 7 points?
That's what I was about to say. Nick Schmaltz will be tied for 15th on Senators scoring for this year. Tied with Victor Mete. More points than Austin Watson, who's played 38 games. More points than Dylan Gambrell, who's played 36 games.
Eric Brandstrom.
More points than Eric Brandstrom, who's played 24. Lassie Thompson, Nikita Zaitsev, Colin White, of course, only 3. So
Michael Delzato.
A break. Michael Delzato. And
JB3.
And on. Even Logan Shaw, who got 17 games in. So, that's just what you're looking at. I initially was trying to find the previous single game record for the Arizona Coyotes because I was going to see, I don't even know if it would have been in Arizona. I want to say it was a Teemu Selanne game back when they were Jets 1.0. Like, I think we got to go that far back. 7 points in a game.
It was a franchise record, including the Jets.
Alfie's got 7 in a game. I think he's the only Senator in history. I think.
Probably.
Alfie had 7. Can people in the
isn't the like?
Oh, I thought Schmaltz tied it. He got the record.
He got the record. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he tied it.
No, they said it was a franchise record, including the Jets.
Jesus.
Huh, okay. Damn.
Or at least Gordon Miller said that. So I'm pretty good with when I hear something. Like I usually know that's what they said, but I might be wrong.
We'll take your word for it, Marshall.
Gord might be wrong. He did say that.
All right. What more do we have on this game? Let's take some questions. Also, while we're taking some questions, just before we go, I want to ask the boys the question we put out on Twitter that took a lot of heat, and we had a lot of fun with it as well.
Oh, no, don't.
If we're going with all 11 defensemen for the Ottawa Senators this year, how are you power ranking them?
This is all your fault that all this talk started happening on Twitter. It was because of this question that you posed on it. So, I don't know, Pilsy, I'll let you jump in here.
I mean, I was looking at yours, Martian. I'm going to have to go back to the list here, but mine's pretty close to yours.
I think the one change, if I could go back and change things, I would put MDZ. I would switch I had MDZ ahead of Brandstrom. I think maybe I would swap that. Just thinking
that was a little rich. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you said in the comments too, Ross, you said you were only considering the NHL stats, and I hadn't looked at that at that time, so I was considering as well his AHL performance when I did that. So just NHL stats, I guess I would or performance, I would switch that. But at the same time too, MDZ still has way higher points per game than Brandstrom, and they're both supposed to be offensive defensemen, but. I'm just, where I stand on all that.
Yeah. We don't have to get into the Brandstrom discussion in particular, but I thought it was interesting how much variance there was. It seemed like Shabbat, Zub, Holden 1, 2, 3 was
Shabbat has to be the number one. People that didn't put Shabbat number one.
Yeah, and Holden has been outperforming what we expect out of him offensively for sure, at least since he signed that contract too. So there's no doubt why he's up in the top 3.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. That didn't make any sense. So let's say a quick preview and then of the Vegas game, and then we'll take off for today. What are you expecting from the team tomorrow, Pilsy? I'm not going to fight you on it this time, especially after the day he had, but I'd imagine Anton Forsberg starts in that game.
No, you got to give Matt Murray a bounce back.
He's
got to battle for back-to-back games here. Definitely Forsberg is the starter. I'm nervous, like for Arizona to be able to do this. And maybe it was a bit of a sense of playing down to your opponent after coming off a Florida trip. But this isn't going to fly in Vegas. And I think Vegas is going to be looking at this opportunity to get back in the saddle and start winning some games again. And up against the Sens team that just got pummeled and on the second night of a back-to-back, they have a good chance of doing that, especially if they can get some good goaltending. So I'm not expecting good things, Ross. Just to sum that up quickly, I'm not expecting good things tomorrow from Sens versus Vegas.
So Vegas just got a 5-4 win against the Anaheim Ducks in their last game, which was last night. But before that, they were really struggling. I mean, only 2 wins in 8 games before that and 5 wins in 13 games. So this is a team that's fighting for their playoff lives. Someone, I almost laughed and I almost cried when I heard this one. Martian, someone said, this is the lowest point in Vegas franchise history. And I said, good.
Must be nice.
Riddance. Good riddance to that.
Makes me want to vomit.
Doesn't it?
What a low point.
What a low point. Hey, this is probably a good time to mention Jack Eichel. It's his first game against the Ottawa Senators this year. But I know you boys still get PTSD thinking of Jack Eichel because in his career, he has absolutely dominated the Ottawa Senators. 25 points in 17 games.
He loves to
against
slaughter
Ottawa.
the Sens. Didn't he have like was it a
He had a 4-goal
game?
night. Yeah. He
did.
hasn't played the Sens in a long time though. Now that like he's been injured, the All Canadian division, now going to Vegas, like it's been a while. So hopefully the Sens can figure him out here.
I want to say that I was at the game the last time that he played Ottawa as a member of the Vegas Golden Knights, or was he hurt for that one? He was so off and on, right, with injuries that year. I'm trying to see. No, it was. Yep, I was at that game.
There you go.
Chris Phillips jersey retirement night in Ottawa.
I was there. I was there as well, Ross.
Nice. Before we ever met. Wow, we were so young and innocent. That's when Ottawa scored the 4 fastest goals in franchise history. They must have come close tonight. Did they not? No, that was 4 goals in 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
they scored 2 goals, like 2 goals in 1:17, and then it was like 2 goals in like 45 seconds or something. So they had some quick pairs, but
yeah, that was just pre-COVID. So we'll see, and we'll see how they match up. Right now, DJ Smith has no idea who's playing with who. I think we know that for sure.
Yeah, I saw those lines when they came out today, and I was like, wow, you really juggled things up here. Stützle being the third line center was a little off, and Colin White was pretty invisible today too. I thought. Did you guys notice him much? I really didn't. There was a couple like maybe plays where he, poked it away from an opposing player, things like that, but nothing crazy out of him offensively, at least for sure.
Yeah, the line that got the most ice time, and they don't have Colin White on any of these 4 lines on natural stat trick, which they keep track of 5-on-5. Anyone who plays more than 2.5 minutes together, and he didn't have 2.5 minutes with any line, so he was jumping all over the place. He was up with Tkachuk for a little bit, then he was down. Or sorry, he is here. He was just sneaking in as the second player. He played primarily with Nick Paul and Zach Sanford, but he was kind of like up and down all over the place. Like Paul played a bunch with Connor Brown and Josh Norris as well. The only line that really stayed intact and I want to see tomorrow is Stützle, Formanton, and Gaudette. Outside of that, you can put whoever with wherever, and I'll be fine with it.
That 4th line is solid too, though. That's one you're probably not going to change. Kelly, Gambrell, and Watson.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, if you want to play Kelly up a shift or two, why not?
Yeah, hell yeah.
You want me to open up a can of worms here right before we say goodbye? Joe Bell just wants pure chaos.
No,
Martian, this is you.
No, let's not touch on this.
Joe Bell writes in.
I love Joe Bell. I love Joe Bell. Joe, you're my guy, but we can't go there right now.
That's a whole nother episode. We're already at 40 minutes here.
Yes, we will wrap, but I will also say, Joe, you're on the right track, unfortunately. So he asks, what do you boys think we get in a trade for Brandy? Of course, we brought that up on the bottom of our screen there if you're watching on YouTube. But if you miss any of the Postcast, please go and you can like and subscribe on YouTube. But you can also listen to the Postcast wherever you download your podcast. And you can even listen to it the next day. If you want to get fired up before the game against Vegas, we'll chat after that. For tonight, we say goodbye. For @Lalim's Martian and Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan, just trying to make sense of an 8-5 loss to the Arizona Coyotes. My goodness. Have a great Saturday night, everyone. We'll chat.